We do have with us Mr. Curtis Williams, President of Tobago Chamber, Industry and Commerce, and we're here to speak Budget 2025-2026. Good morning, Mr. Williams.
Good morning, Brother B. Mr. Cox, good morning. It's been a pleasure being on set.
All right, so the Chief Secretary did say that they have some outstanding debts to pay contractors. The last time we spoke, that was one of the Chamber's concern, that some of those debts were not reached as yet, and the Chief Secretary is expecting that. However, the Secretary of Finance is expecting 5% and nothing less for the budget, from the national budget. Your expectations, and let's get into what you recommend. Well, you can't recommend now, but your expectations for 2025-2026 budget.
Yeah. Brother B, from the body language of both the Chief Sec and the Secretary for Finance, we could definitely assure that we will get something more than what we were getting before. It mightn't be the 5.9 as was bantered around that they wanted, but we will definitely get something more than we had before. My challenge now, we have this extra funds now, we have the extra money, whether it's going to be on development side, and which I expect it to be on development side, is what we do with the funds. That is the most critical thing. How do we spend this money that we have? We have a set of low-hanging fruits in treating in Tobago. And one of them you mentioned was paying some of these old debts that the Assembly inherits. You call it inherit risk, I just to call it long time. So they inherit these debts, I think it was $300 million plus that they inherit, and they're trying their best to, out of their normal, recurrent, and other expense takings, they're trying to pay off these debts with it. So it's going to be a hard one. Is the Secretary of Finance will have to do some spinning and see how much she can bring down some of those debts and treat with some of the debts that they have from suppliers presently. You know, some of them probably haven't been paid, as the case may be, so we're trying to get those in. But we passed that stage now, and we want to move on to Tobago and what's happening on the island. We have a lot of things happening. The tourism sector is not as vibrant as we expected. We have the opening of the new terminal building, which we crying day and night for them to open the building. I mean, I saw it just up to yesterday, and the building looked wonderful, Brother B. When you're coming in at night, that building looked really, really, really good. It's time they open the thing.
Very good.
We can't leave the thing there as a white elephant.
Right. This were the second question, and this is it, and you go there already. So let's talk about what is required. Well, the Chamber might have done its little research to find out what it is that needs to be completed, or so that we can reach the final handing over and the official operation of the airport. From a Chamber standpoint, have you all found out what is preventing it from completing, or what needs to be done? Has the contractor handed over the building to the where are we with the airport, and how important is that airport for this budget, if not catered, if there is expenditure or monies need to be spent to complete, shouldn't that be catered for in the budget? Let's get an overall view as to the Chamber's position on the opening of this airport and the importance of it.
Well, Brother B, it's a long anticipated opening of the airport, and it's just to bring that buzz into the island about Tobago being ready for tourists and we start off with the airport. We really need the terminal building open. When we look at it, the last time we take a look at it, there were a few cosmetics stuff to get done, whether it's regulatory and all the other stuff that they needed to get done. They were paving the, what do you call that, the apron line, coming back into the runway to make that a smooth finish. You know, there was an article banding about on the newspaper over the weekend about the airport so close to the sea and all that good craziness, right? I really
So that randomly,
yes, but we shouldn't focus on that. We're focusing on getting our terminal building open, getting the employees, getting the not only the employees but getting the concessionaries inside, because I don't know what happened to the previous set of folks who did apply and so forth. They have a new board now, and we asked the new board, you know, Brother B, we wrote that new board so that they could come and meet with the Tobago stakeholders, so that we could understand what's happening in this space. But we're still waiting. I don't know how long our letter take from Tobago to Trinidad. But we wrote the board, asking the board, come and have a conversation with us, because we don't want, again, concession booths to be given out and Tobago don't get a piece of, a slice of that pie, yes. Right? Because it's important. We have all the Benebol people and all the other people, the car rental guys and all of them who are operating in the airport now, and all of them is worried that they will get cast out because the big boys from Trinidad will come and take the spaces because they had the capacity and they have everything. Of course we do. That's our business. They have it, but we still have to reserve something for the Tobago people. Exactly. I want to see Tobago business there. I want to see somebody with a a perfume store in Tobago operating in the duty-free. Yes. So don't put the thing in a way that the Tobagonians can't get it. And you say, well, look, they can't afford it, so we have to give somebody else. And that is what will happen in a Brother B.
All right. But quickly before Mr. Cox, that concessionary with our local, the Commissioner of Police came here on Friday, and he spoke about leaving Tobago with the Benabal and all the necessaries and so on. Now, those little people business we don't expect the same little wooden boot and so on, but we expect a proper accommodation for them. It may cost them more than they are paying now. Some of you mentioned something that's very significant, may not be able to afford the rental for that little operation of the Beneball, the Tambran ball and so on. But it has to be catered for, because that's the brand of Tobago. And the chamber stand ready to support and to defend these people, because I understand that they can't be thrown away because of the big conglomerates coming from Trinidad. That is important to maintain.
Definitely, Brother B, and we're singing this, we're singing it now.
Yes.
We're saying it now, so let it all who had to hear.
Yeah.
You cannot let the Tobago people there who have been there for umpteen years, Brother B, toiling the soil down at the old airport now. You build a brand new airport now, and you think, well, you can't get inside there because your pennies is too low. No, it can't happen like that.
Okay.
They must put something in place to accommodate the Tobago folks who are operating in the airport presently, and those who want to come in, those budding business that want to come in, but they might not have that huge capital, that $1 million that they're talking about, and all that different things, and the 10% you had to pay up front of your sales. But some of us might need to afford that. But we have a product that could be really shared with the rest of the world.
And it's just shifting now to looking at what, because you mentioned earlier on, what Tobago does with the money once allocated. I understand, by the way, that the tranches in terms of the disbursement, I heard the Secretary for Finance saying that it's a 2-month, 1-month situation instead of getting it for the quarter. That, based on my basic understanding, is a disadvantage, because now you can't necessarily provide in terms of finishing certain projects because you just don't have the funds available. What is the situation with that in terms of how monies are disbursed for each quarter?
Like in any business, cash flow is important, and you must have a steady flow of cash in order to do things that you want to do. So if the THA normally gets the money in tranches, which is like a 3-month or a quarter, it would be nice to get the money at the beginning of the quarter, you get for the 3 months, so that you could set aside your spend and how you're going to do it. As she mentioned, they might not get it like that due to, again, it's cash flow issues. And that's the problem. The cash flow issues will affect the THA if they don't get it in flowing as they want it to. Neglecting the fact now, let's go back to how we're going to spend the money, what we're going to do, some low-hanging fruits that we could treat with. And we spoke about even things like we're talking about in the national budget, where we talk on country planning, where we wanted to get that to be done, the land license issues that we have, that for heaven's sake, we don't know what can be done. Everybody talks about it and nobody doing anything about it. And I think, Brother B, we reach a stage where we finish talk. There's no more talking. We talk. And every time we come on interviews and we come in places like this, people talk about the land license and nobody bold enough, man enough to come and say, hey, there we go, and let me stop this nonsense, this old talk, then we get this thing fixed for once and for all. Give it to the THA, let the THA manage it, so it's done in a proper manner. But just don't keep talking about it, because we're fed up. It's years now we're talking, Brother B, and nobody doing anything about it. There are a lot of investors who want to come into this space, and the land license is affecting them. So let's fix it. Right. Let's fix it and move ahead.
But even if we look at from a national standpoint, functioning with a budget deficit, how long again, does it work? Are we making inroads in terms of climbing out of presenting these budgets, looking at it from a deficit standpoint and the debts that from a national standpoint that we're facing?
Well, as we can see that right now the country is not in a position to even, definitely had to do a deficit budget. No way, there's going to be some borrowing somewhere. There must be borrowing to kind of fill some of the gaps going on, and there's no way it's going to be better than that. Now, the thing is that Tobago, I want to come back to Tobago. I want to tell them, Tobago now, we have to treat with some of the issues that we have here, the coastal erosion. When you look at the coast, Brother B, going Grange there, then we will be in the sea, Brother B, when the bad weather come there the other day, Listen to me, someone sent me some shots, and I tell you the only thing left for us is Boko, part of Boko, they're going up to Mountain will be in the sea if we don't take care of that. So there's a lot of coastal erosion. So it was we spoke about the loan that we was to get. You remember that loan?
Yeah.
Right. I want to know when that money reached to come and treat with those issues. But we have some, again, I tell you, we have some burning issues in Tobago that we have to take care of. And we're only talking about how much money we get. Money, yes, we will get the money, but there are the red tape and all the issues that will affect us from not even spending our money effectively so we look good. The MA and all these other people, institutions that kind of stifle you, the growth of anything you want to do. That you're having challenges, but we try to develop a piece of land and they tell me the amount of challenges you have. You have challenges from WhatsApp, from fire service, but you name it, you have challenges. And you have to sit down there and wait, and wait, and wait. And why is you waiting? It's a course.
But just quickly, so the THA, would you advise that the THA continue in terms of its intention to borrow on its own, or that would complicate things? Because even the coastal plan, that came up before. I'm not sure how the financing works, but would you advise, from where you sit in the THA, take it upon itself to make major borrowing arrangements separate and apart from the national perspective?
As in a business, when you borrow to do things and you get a return on it. The last time we borrowed, I don't know where that money went, and I heard it went to pave road, right? So this is what I'm saying. So if I'm borrowing, it's we borrow to do things, a development that will bring a return and not just only satisfy a service.
Exactly.
Because the paving road will satisfy a service so that there's no return on your investment. So I think when we're borrowing, yes, you could have two parts of it, but you can't spend all on their services. You have to get some kind of return. You know why? Because you had to pay back what you borrowed.
Exactly.
So there must be some return on that investment so that you can at least, again, if you're not getting 100% return, you could get a percentage. But if nothing is getting nothing because all is for service, then no, that's bad borrowing.
All right, Mr. Williams, we are facing I don't want to say a water crisis, but if we had to do any business at all, whether it is in food, we have to wash our hands. If we don't have water, we can't. The crisis that we are facing now needs serious reconsideration of our vision going forward for supplying regular water, or having a regular and a reliable water supply. Mother Nature have its way. We are labeling Mother Nature against the backdrop of climate control, climate change. There's nothing we can do about that. However, there's an investment that we can make, and it's called desalination. In varying parts of the Caribbean, that's how they rely on their water. If Mother Nature decides to follow the pattern of, I just call it what they, anyhow, do we need to invest in desalination? Is it now that we need to do that, given the pattern, because it's for the past 3 or 4 years, we are seeing a low amount of rainfall that has to be labeled against the backdrop of the word still not coming. When the rain not falling, you call it, and the weather patterns now.
Climate change?
Climate change, oh God, stick in my head now. Climate change, all right. Do we need, and I'm saying this, I am saying it, that is an investment we need to make quick, because you don't want tourists to go in the hotel, and because there's no rainfall, Wassa could do all it wants. But if they have no water in the reservoirs and the dams, people are not going to come to this country. That's an industry by itself that relies on a proper and a regular water supply. The rest of the eastern parts of the Eastern Caribbean have desalination water. Right in Trinidad, I understand have one as well. Does Tobago need to ask, please, for some money from the budget to deal with that? Is it too late?
Brother B, and I'm glad you bring that point up. About a year and a half, even to 2 years ago, we asked all the utilities to meet with the chamber because we had the vision. We had the vision for this island, and we knew things like this would pop up. So we asked all the utilities to meet with us. And I went back into my notes when nobody was bantering about with the chief when he went to Colan, right? I wasn't on the island, but Brother B, I went back into my notes. And we asked Tech as well as Wassa to meet with us. They met with us. And we discussed just what you said, We discussed this 2 years. Somebody was sleeping behind the wheel, Brother B. We discussed the same issue. We discussed water supply for the western part of the island throughout the up season, like how we have Carnival coming up. We spoke about the development because we expect new plants to be built, new hotels, new villas, etc. We spoke about the new terminal building, providing electricity in that area. Tiantec was okay. Tiantec gave us a whole road plan. WASA come. WASA give us something. But today, somebody was sleeping behind the wheel. Hence the reason why we end up in the problem we are today. Because we, the business community, we were forward thinking, we met with the institutions as a responsible business entity. We met with them to discuss these pertinent things. Somebody went sleeping. And suddenly they wake up now. And everybody up in Colin looking and talking about Dry River. But we talk about that long time. So WASA, get your act together. That's all I have to tell you. WASA, get your act together.
Right.
You guys stop sleeping.
Very good. Another thing is the electricity. You mentioned it there. Barbados is a part, and Barbados have a new housing project, and all of them are relying on solar energy that supplies that housing unit area there. We're still relying on natural gas. Let's say something happened with the Bacchanal with Venezuela and so on, and then somebody disrupt our gas flow. Tiantec in the Cove, that place, they was shut down. There was a brilliant fellow who had a windmill running up at, you remember that, that thing there. And he was testing to see how much wind energy can be used to provide electricity. However, solar is still there dormant, and nobody's thinking that. Where are we there yet in thinking that, look, alternative energy from desalination, seawater to supply regularly, moving there to electricity. Does the chamber need to open its mouth, just like you did with desalination, for proper, reliable electricity supply, not using the gas energy that we are relying on?
Brother B, I'm so happy bringing up these points. And you know, the failure of the chamber was not bringing this to the public, the Tobago public. Because we meet with all these people and discuss these things, but we didn't make it known to the public. And we fail in that part. But I know going forward, we ain't going to fail in that part. Brother B, we met with the UN to talk about solar energy in Tobago. And it was whispered to me in my ear. At that time, the government didn't have the appetite for it. You understand? We mentioned all about alternative energy. We talk about all of that, and they indicated to us first, as a chamber, to push. I said, we, Tobago Division, pushing. They say yes, because it seemed like the government don't have an appetite for it. So we did talk about the alternative energy to treat with all of that you spoke about, reducing the grid. But again, the appetite wasn't there because they said we have oil and gas, we have the excess gas, we're going to burn it out, it's a bit cheaper to go to alternative energy, will cost X and Y, and the windmill and all the things they could talk about the wind and the solar energy. But we said, listen to me, let's start the project going. They did start 1 and 2 cottage industry to get the project going in Trinidad, and they wanted to come across in Tobago to do it. But again, the will was not there. The appetite was not there, the government at the time. I don't know if this new government have the appetite for it and will encourage NGOs like ourselves to push this initiative so that we have an alternative power on the island. And that's something that we so desire.
Does the government have an appetite for the increasing or the betterment of the inter-island connectivity? Because, I mean, naturally, high logistics costs would affect the businesses, but also affect the ordinary man in terms of getting goods and services. What do you anticipate in terms of appetite, as you mentioned, appetite? Yeah,
well, speaking with the Minister of Works, Ms. John, and she's a Tobagonian, and we mentioned it to her, and she was willing to listen to us and hear what some of our challenges are moving forward in getting a reliable cargo vessel between the two islands. And it was something that she said, yes, she was more than willing to, and the conversation would have been started the last time she was here. Because now we've seen the vessel we had there, the Cabo Star, you know, that coming to an end, and then we're looking for something more reliable, probably something new. Right? There were talks that we were asking for 2 smaller vessels so that we have back and forth. If one down, we have an alternative. Instead of having one and when it's down, we bring a barge and they bring on, and they're having all kind of issues. The time we get away from these things, we tell them forward thinking. We say, and she agreed with us, you know. She said, Tobago, every minute is one breakdown. This one electricity, this one some kind, always some issue on moving cargo between the two islands, which is essential. Right? We're not just talking about bringing food. There's a lot of stuff that comes up on that vessel. So we spoke to her about it, and she was welcome, and I'm happy to know that she was welcoming our remarks, and we will continue to talk further to treat with that part of it. The part that is challenging to us now is the Caribbean airline part. And that's the part where we need to sit with this new Caribbean airline board now and discuss a roadmap, a way forward with Caribbean airline dealing with Tobago, especially when we have events across it, because tourism is our big thing, as we all can see. Events is what brings in the people in. We need the people here, we need the consumption, so that they know we will have the commerce happening. So with our 60,000, it's just not enough. We need another 30,000. So if we could have an Easter every day, let me call it that, it would be nice, but all our small business would be happy. Right. But now, as we don't have an Easter every day, you can see how it's, some people are trickling.
What we do have is Carnival right next week, right? Keith Trotman from the Bread and Breakfast said that 90% capacity in terms of visitor. Some people cancel because they hear the water crisis and so on. Where are we from the tourism sector in terms of the business sector, tourism business, as to our capacity and our readiness for, let's say a fella decide, he and about 25 them decide to come up for a weekend for the Carnival. Didn't plan. Do we have accommodation available? Where are we in terms of bookings and heads in beds in our medium, small, and large businesses, hotels and so on?
The last time we spoke to our members, those in the accommodation sector, the numbers were soaring, they were looking good. We were looking especially at the small hotels, the villas, they're fully booked. You can't get a villa now unless you're going to get something that I put below my house or something else. There's no space. There's no space.
So it's completely booked.
There's no space in the villa market. The small guest houses, they are doing really, really good. The Port Authority have reported the amount of bookings we have coming up that weekend. Now it's Diwali weekend here. You know, it's a long weekend coming up here to the 21st. And then there's the Tobago Carnival coming in. So there's a lot of activities that are going to be flowing through. Now, the folks coming across here, the larger properties, we were looking at the bigger properties who were saying that they were trying to get the ends up, and I saw some new adverts going out for some of the larger properties. So I presume by now they should be about 80% filled with capacity. When these folks come to Tobago, we have to entertain them, we have to keep them comfortable, we have to keep them safe, and we had to put all things need to be good. The health need to be on standby, because if something happens, the hospital have to be ready, the health centers have to be ready. I heard Mr. Stewart was speaking about putting emergency thing, and this is important. We have this extra 25 to 30,000 visitors on island. That meant our institutions have to be in a state of readiness just in case. Just in case, and that's what we were speaking about. So TNTech need to have the capacity and standby capacity in case, because the island will be consuming more during that period, more electricity, more water, everything will be consuming during that period. So everybody need to be on board. And I presume the committee will already speak about it, where all the law enforcement, the police, and all of them have to be there to ensure that the visitors are safe throughout the carnival season. So it's important that WASA know that too. It's WASA know that. And if you do have capacity, the kind of 25 cents you're giving the water truck people who die, ain't see no. Why is he no contract? Because they're not paying them. So WASA need to get their act together and pay the people. Put money into where money ought to be, pay the contractors on them so that they could come and move water, because the water, we had plenty of water trucks and they just see they're doing it now. You don't know why. It's because they're not paying them. So the people need payment so that they could go into that business to water truck, so that in case water don't go in a particular area or something happen, you can tell 4 trucks gone down in the west, started feed. You understand? But if you ain't paying them, better be there moving.
Given that Tobago can be labeled an events destination, events, Blue Food, Carnival, Easter, and you name it, Caribbean Cuisine Showdown coming. Let's see is it advisable for people with the little extra rooms downstairs? Let me say they live upstairs and they have a nice place to cast and put in through a little bed and breakfast. Is it advisable so that we can actually make a living, so to speak, of the tourism sector from that standpoint, the bread and breakfast like Key and there? Is it advisable if we seriously want to go in that direction, where every 3 months or at least we have an event, a major event that attracts numbers? Because clearly, if all your hotels and your guest houses are booked out, it means that the fella by the side, they could say, you know, let me put on 2 rooms downstairs. And again, we have to approach the banks and we have to look for loans and Speak to us from that standpoint.
Well, there's a big trust for the villa and apartments, Airbnb, and we see down in Buku, we see all the building apartments going up and all gone. I went to inquire if I could probably get one. Look, just inquiring. The price moved from probably 1.3 and gone up to probably 1.8.
And it's all sold.
And all sold out. So I think there's an appetite for those kind of accommodation in Tobago, where you put your vehicle on the boat and you drive across with the entire family and you go into these nice villas and you have a nice family meeting. So the folks aren't going to the hotel anymore. They're going to the villas where they could really bring the extended family. That's how they travel, not just one. Sometimes you bring cousin, nanny, everybody come in the car, 2 car load, and we come to Tobago and we come and enjoy ourselves for 3-4 days. And that's the style we're seeing happening now. So there's room and there's an appetite for it. And I urge the bank and the financial institutions to kind of see the vision and allow the Tobago people to get access to loans to do these kind of development.
But does the chamber advocate, let's say Jumaane, a young man, he like it and so on, he get a piece of property and so on, and he wants it set up and they say, you're young enough and so on. The problem he would have is to qualify or to, I don't want to say qualify, but to actually get a loan. They would advise him to take a brand new car instead, Mr. And when we have those types of ambition wants to invest in Tobago, because that's what it is, to bring people into Airbnb and making money and so on. Young people are out there looking for options to make a living, so to speak. But where does the chamber and that is business. Is there assistance to convince the bank, maybe like a reference? Let's say they want 2 references, and then we get a chamber. You sign as president. Is that work? What is it that we need to do to get young entrepreneurs, to get the support from the banking sector, the financial institution, to give them the financial support that they need to go forward?
Well, without not advertising the different institutions, we met with all of them. The only folks we didn't met with is the credit unions, but we met with all the major banks. The last bank we met with was the one that just opened on the mall.
The ABM.
GMB. But if you hear the packages, you'll jump off your seat. It's real good. It's good. I can't advertise for them here, but I'm telling you, it's good. We met with all of them, so I'm telling Tobagonians, if you want to get into that type of business, you have the land, you might not have the land, or you have the capacity. Come and see us. Come and see us at the chamber. We're going to point you in the direction.
Right.
Because we met with all of them and we tell them the problem we were having. They asked us even to get statistics on some of the things. We did assist in some way. So the packages they put together, especially the last one you mentioned, I was moved because we had an accountant checking it out and give us some feedback as it looks good. It looks better than all I had all my years, all my 20 plus years. I see that, I say, wait, 100%? Somebody gone mad? But it's good, it's looking good. So I'm telling folks in Tobago, listen to me, you had a land, you want to put on the thing, you want to build up the thing, come and see the chamber. We're right there. We are normal people, just me. We are normal people. Come and have a chat with us, and we will point you in the direction for you to move ahead.
Just quickly looking at the budget, of course, the presentation is supposed to be 130.
130.
In terms of, should we expect a sweetheart budget, or it's going to be a tight belt kind of situation, just based on what your observations are telling you?
Well, the posture, as I mentioned earlier on, I expect Tobago to get a little better than what they were getting before. The challenges I would always say is what we do with the money when we get it. We also applaud to the Ministry of Finance. We asked them to see if we could treat with some of the low-hanging fruit, some of the issues in Tobago, the red tape and treating with all the institutions and all these things, town and country planning and all that. People who want to get certain things done, the land license, we asked them to see something about it because it's high time we do something about that. And I think that would put us in a positive way in Tobago. Get the terminal building open. Then we get things start to happen. All these people who are applying to get land to go and do hotel development and so forth. But it would have been so nice to see a group of Tobagonians come together and go by the teacher and say, listen to me, we have X amount of money and we want to open up a 500-room hotel or a 200-room hotel. But we had to build capacity in order to do that. Our pockets are not so deep, right? So we're hoping that these are the things that we're trying to do. These are the initiatives the chamber trying to put together. If we could come together as a group and get some, whether we bring in for our own self, we steer the thing, bring an international partner and tell the THA, look what I have. Look what I have done with the little pittance I have. You know, you give me the enabling and let me put the thing forward.
Excellent.
And that's what we're looking forward to.
All right.
Tobago, owning Tobago and doing the development on the
Excellent.
island.
Tobago, owning Tobago, boy. Of course, Mr. Williams of Curtis Williams. And I didn't know he could cook and thing. So, yeah. But we go see how we go work out with Caribbean Cuisine Show down in time. But anyway, Mr. Williams, always a pleasure having you. Thank you for being here. And we look forward to, well, we expect our debts be cleared with this budget and so on, and we can move on with Tobago business. All right? Thank you for being here this morning.
All right, thank you.